In this video, we will talk about a new feature that's available in Nerdio Manager, starting with version 4.1, and that is the ability to see right in line with your session host listing, the last user who logged into that session host and actually be able to get more information about those users who have recently logged in. So a common use case is being able to identify, hey, when was the last time this particular host was used and who was the person who used it last? For example, you may have a personal host pool with lots and lots of VMs and some of them may no longer be used. So you may want to know when was the host used last and by whom, so you know if you can delete those hosts and reprovision them or reassign them to other users, etc. So the first step or the first requirement for this feature to work is that Azure AVD or Azure Monitor AVD Insights must be enabled. So this data will only show up for host pools where on the properties page, the Azure Monitor is enabled. Now, this is enabled by default on any host pools that you create through Nerdio Manager, but if you've disabled this functionality, then you may not have access to the data, which is required to display this information. I've created a custom view that's going to show me all my hosts in the environment. And you can see I have lots of them in this lab. And here is now a column called last user login. I can sort by it. And you can see I have certain hosts where users have logged in. For example, here's a user called NMW Tester who logged into this host on June 7th. And there is even a more button. And what that allows me to do is actually run a query on the log analytics that stores this login information and see even more info. But really the useful thing is I see my last user, I see the date when they logged in, I can click on more, which is going to open up my Azure portal and run a query for me that's going to enumerate who else logged into that host over the last selected period here. So that's kind of useful. And most importantly, you can identify how old certain hosts are and whether they've been logged into recently or not. And then if you click on the user's name, what it will actually do is enumerate when has that user logged in across any hosts in your environment. So if you want to know where a specific user has been logging in besides this particular session host, you can easily identify that. Now, the way you make this column appear, which is not going to be there by default unless you turn it on, is by clicking on this little table in the title bar whenever you're looking at session hosts. So this is available, for example, if I go to workspaces, that button isn't there, but if I go to any page that shows me session hosts, I will have a little column selector. And what I can do here is I can enable and disable various columns, and one of these columns is the new last user login. If I enable it, then this column will come up and I will see this information about who logged in last and when that happened. Hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.